So welcome, President Wilson. Such a pleasure having you here, taking time out of your very busy schedule to talk with me. I have the pleasure of serving on your cabinet, and I've really appreciated just kind of understanding your priority areas for the university moving forward. And I was excited to learn that one of those priority areas is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so, number one, I just wanted to say thank you for your leadership over the past few months. I know our campus is very excited to have you here. So, as we approach Unity Week and celebration of the MLK holiday, I thought it was really important for our campus to get to know you as a person, understand your goals around diversity, and then also to just discuss your priorities headed into the spring semester. So my first question for you is, your personal journey. Can you talk about that? Your personal journey around leadership and working with individuals from diverse backgrounds, people who kind of bring diversity of thought to the table, and what that has looked like for you.
Sure. And thank you, Liz. Thanks for providing this opportunity for us to have a conversation and to actually delve into issues related to DEI and a little bit more personally just about who I am and how I think about this unique and amazing opportunity that I have to lead this incredible university. I guess I'll start by saying that many people say, did you always know you wanted to be a university president? And of course, my answer is no. Are you kidding? I was minding my own business as a professor early on in my career and thinking that I would dabble in administration on occasion to do my part, but never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined 20 or 30 years ago that I would be in this situation. So it's been incredible opportunity, and I feel really lucky. And part of the reason I feel lucky is I feel like I've joined a community of leaders that are exceptionally committed to this institution. This isn't my first university. I was at Illinois for 21 years, and before that I was at the University of California at Santa Barbara for 12 years. And each of those places has their own kind of culture and feel and set of priorities. And they're wonderful places. And this place is amazing. And, what I would say about Iowa that I'm particularly excited about is that it's a huge, comprehensive university with a community feel to it, unlike I've experienced anywhere else. And so I'm hoping that, that sense of community, that sense of caring, whatever you want to call it. Some people call it Iowa nice. Some people don't like that. Other people just call it, the way Iowans are. But we bring people from all over the world here, and they become part of this community. So it's not just being an Iowan, it's being at the University of Iowa. I think we have something special here that we have to protect and continue to nourish and continue to work on. So, that's a long way of saying we want to be an environment that welcomes people from all kinds of backgrounds and all different places and spaces. And the way that I think about diversity, is really quite broad. I mean, I think when you first come to a place like this, everybody feels different somehow. And some of it's visual and physical, and other forms of difference are invisible, but they still feel different to a person. And so, when I think about diversity, I think we're bringing students and faculty and staff from rural parts of Iowa. So there's the rural urban differentiation. We're bringing people here who served in the military. We're bringing people here who have different forms of disability. Maybe it's physical, maybe it's cognitive, maybe it's emotional, things they're struggling with that aren't always visibly obvious, but make them feel different somehow. And I think our goal as an institution is to say, you're all welcome here. You may not immediately feel that way, but our job is to make sure that we work really hard to embrace difference, not try to squash it, not try to change it, but say everybody's welcome at the table. We might not always agree. We might actually disagree quite a bit, but we respect the fact that everybody's got a space and a place here. And I think the more we do that, the more we're going to actually make progress on equity and inclusion as they relate to diversity. So that's a broad statement, but it reflects my philosophy around diversity. And I mean, things I didn't include there: age, gender, their sexual orientation, first gen. A lot of our students and even our staff and faculty were first in family to go to college. And that's a difference that's not always visible, but it makes people wonder, do I belong here? Am I able to succeed here? Am I going to fit in? At the same time that a Chicago student comes here and says, this is a small rural area, someone from rural Iowa comes here and says, this is a big city, so we've just got so many different ways of thinking about diversity. And I think if we can constantly remind ourselves of that, we will be more sensitive to the issues at hand around inclusion.
So one of the things that's really exciting to me this year is that we're going through our next strategic planning process. And I'm so proud of the fact that we are embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion into our next strategic plan. What are you excited about with our next strategic plan? What are you hoping to see, especially in terms of, diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first, I'm excited that we're doing a strategic plan, but I'm not expecting that strategic plan is going to cause us to pivot radically and do 180s and quit doing what we're doing now and start on a completely new path. If I've been involved in a lot of strategic plans, and the best ones are the ones where actually the process of doing it is about 50% of the goal, bringing people together, having them spend time talking about strategy and goals, having people really articulate where we want to be in 5 and 10 years, and thinking about metrics. If we can do that successfully, no matter what comes out as a product, we've already gotten half the bang for the strategic planning buck that we've put into it. So the fact that so many people are involved in it and so many people are thinking about it and taking time out of their busy schedules to really reflect and be forward facing is really one of the big goals of planning. The other thing I think that a good strategic plan does is it allows us to be a little bit more focused in how we spend our energy and time, because a university this big can do so many things, and we're not going to stop doing everything just because it's not in the plan, but the plan will help us make decisions about perhaps stopping some things that aren't really central to our plan and maybe putting more resources in things that are central to our plan. It'll help us make decisions going forward. And, everything sounds good in isolation. Every idea sounds good. We're smart people, but in the end, we can't do everything. And we can't just throw a bunch of dollars out into a field and watch and see which ones actually bloom. We need to be a little more strategic about our choices. And so I think the plan will help guide us on that front. Now, in terms of DEI, a good plan, I think, should have DEI embedded throughout. It shouldn't be something off in the corner that we think about every 5 days or every 2 months. It should be really layered on top of everything we do. And of course, I haven't seen what's being created yet, but when people talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion here, I hear it being talked about as central to everything we do, as opposed to something that's, at the back of 5 other goals, or, in the corner if we have time and energy and space for it. And that's what you really want, is that it becomes baked into who we are and what we do.
Well, my final question for you today is, what are some of your priorities as we head into the spring semester?
Well, one of the priorities is to finalize the plan. Another priority is for me to get out and about a bit more. I just reflected the other day that I've met with 21 legislators already in 6 months. So if I keep going at the rate that I'm going, I will have, hopefully met most of the legislators in the state. I've met our federal, both senators and 3 of our 4 representatives. I'm starting to meet more with donors. and so I think as I've gotten to know this great university over the last 6 months, now much of my focus will be a little bit more outward facing, because, you know, the role of a president is to advocate, help raise money, ensure that our goals and our impact is widely known across the state and across the nation. Doesn't mean you won't see me as much, but it will mean that I'll be doing a little more traveling and a little bit more external focus. And part of that will be involved with DEI activities, frankly. I mean, I know that the cultural houses are a really crucial goal of ours. We need to get those in better shape. We need to rebuild and to find better spaces for our cultural houses. And I will be talking to lots of donors about those opportunities, scholarship funding related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Some of our programs that we already have, making sure we have funding for the scholarships and for the, First Gen Hawk program and for Iowa Edge and these kinds of things. If donors understand these things, they're going to want to help us. So part of what I'll be doing is working with our Center for Advancement on ensuring people who love Iowa want to invest in our future the same way that we're investing in this future.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time on this snowy, beautiful Iowa afternoon today. And just so you know,
see the snow out your window, and I know it's out my window too.
Yeah. But thank you for being, as I call you, our fearless leader, and for supporting us in our campus. And I know you're just going to do terrific work ahead. And I wish I had your energy level. I don't know where you get all the energy, but
well, it's people that give me energy. It's students and faculty and staff, and people like you, leaders that we have. People often say, "What's your vision?" And I say, "What's our vision?" Because
our vision,
we're going to have to work together. But I can tell you that the priorities and the tones start in the president's office, and you have my full support.